ever hoped that you could turn your study materials into a podcast so that you could listen to it whether you're commuting to and from work or university or maybe exercising or possibly doing some other activities? Well, now you can. That's what I'll be showing you in this video today, is how to convert a whole range of study materials and sources of information into a podcast really quickly and really easily using NotebookLM. Now, if I haven't met you, my name is Rowena. I'm a recent law graduate and I did my legal studies while working full-time. Now I love to help law students work smarter and not harder. So let's jump into NotebookLM. In my example that I'll be using today, it's based on an elective that I completed when I was doing my law degree, and the elective was in water law. Now, I know that sounds a bit odd, but I'm based in Australia, and water is a finite resource here in Australia and has become quite regulated and is a growing area of law and expertise. So I thought it would be a good idea to take on water law. Now, with this particular subject, there were actually no formal lectures delivered as part of the curriculum. So yes, it was a little bit odd and it was a little bit different to most of my other subjects, but that's why I thought I'd use this example today, because there were a bunch of resources that the lecturer did provide and also included a number of websites and so on. And so because there were no lectures, I thought, well, this is a good example where you may need to create some audio files. So now we are ready to create a new notebook. To do that, we just click on the black Create New button, and then we're presented with the Add Sources page. Now, the podcast that I'd like to create, I want it to be based on a URL article or site that our lecturer has given us. And so what I need to do is, instead of doing what I've done in other videos where I've uploaded PDF documents, what I want to do is actually just provide a URL. So I'm going to go down the bottom here and click on website, and I'm going up to capture my URL. So this is the article here that our lecturer said that we need to get our head across and we need to know in quite some depth. So it's an important national water reform report and study that was conducted by our federal government. So it's an important source of information that we need to understand. So I'll go back into our notebook and I'm going to just paste our URL and click insert. Now, you may need to wait a moment or a minute or two for it to upload, particularly if you're uploading multiple sources. So in other examples where I've uploaded, dozens of resources and PDFs, I did have to wait a few minutes for it to upload. Now, in this example, I'm only going to be uploading this one source, so hopefully it shouldn't take too much longer. Great. So that now looks like it's all uploaded. And what it's done is it's already looked at the information on that report or on that website. I suppose it's not really a website, is it? It's a report available on a website, I should say. And what it's done, it's already looked at the information and it has provided a very short summary of that report, which is very helpful. Now, what you'll also notice is that there is also the chat function, similar to other AI tools, where you can add questions and prompts and you can have a conversation here and save any notes that you would like to keep. Now, I won't cover these other functions over here because I have covered that in other videos. And I will also not be covering today over here on the right these other amazing functions where it can look at the information that you've uploaded and generate a whole range of study materials. So if you're interested in that, definitely have a look at my other videos. But today we're just looking at generating a podcast, which is up in the top section here in the studio panel. But before I click on generate, I do need to just come up the top here and just add in my title. Now, it has automatically added a name, Water Reform 2020, for this notebook, but I just want to add up the top in there. You can just click in the field and 207. There we go. I've got my heading now, so that'll be a bit clearer for me now when I'm looking at my notebook homepage as to what this notebook is about. Right, so what we want to do now is just come over here onto the right side, and I'm just going to click on generate. and you will be presented with this message here. So it says generating conversation based on one source. That's correct. I've only got one source here. And there's a message that also says this may take a few minutes. No need to stick around. And that's correct. So in previous examples where I've generated a podcast, in some cases it has taken up to about 9-10 minutes. In other cases, not quite that long. So I might just pause the video here and I'll be back when the podcast is generated. Great. It looks like our podcast is now ready to listen to. But before I hit go, I might just warn any Aussies that might be listening into this video. You'll notice that the two voices that we'll listen to probably will have a strong American accent. So you've been warned. Okay, let's go.
Welcome to the deep dive. We basically take a big stack of information, and today's is pretty significant, and pull out the crucial stuff you need to know quickly, easily.
Yeah, without getting bogged down in all the details.
Exactly. So today we're diving into something fundamental for Australia, how we manage our water nationally. We've gone deep into the Productivity Commission's 2020 inquiry on the National Water Initiative, the NWI.
That's right. And just quickly, the Productivity Commission, they're the government's independent research body. Think of them as impartial analysts helping shape long-term policy, economy, social issues, environment.
All aimed at benefiting the community in the long run, right? And their work's independent, transparent, set up by Parliament.
Yep, exactly. So their findings carry weight. And this 2020 report really examines how the NWI, our main water reform guide, needs to change.
Okay, so our mission today is to cut through that comprehensive report, give you the essential insights on Australia.
I might just pause there and let's have a look and see what options are available under this ellipsis icon in the right. If I click on there, all right, so you can change the playback speed that you would normally want to have access to. You can download the podcast and you can delete it. So that's good to know. I'll just see if there's anything else. There's also the option in here where you can actually click here and then join in the conversation with the two AI voices and ask a question. But what I want to do is I just want to move forward a bit in the podcast and try and get an understanding of how deep into the detail the two AI voices go. So let's just turn that back on.
Is proposed for the NWI. Focus on better information, more transparency, stronger compliance, effective enforcement.
What does that look like on the ground?
Fit-for-purpose metering and measurement of water take. Making sure that data gets reported publicly through water registers, and having compliance systems that are proactive, not just reacting after something goes wrong.
And the role of the system managers in this.
They need a risk-based approach to collecting data, ensuring it's public and accessible. Quality assurance is key independent audits, and being totally transparent about decisions and performance, building and keeping that public confidence.
Okay, shifting gears slightly.
All right, I think I'll pause there. So there you have it. That's how simple it is to generate a podcast from some study material that you've received at law school. A couple of tips before we finish up. I have tried in a couple of previous examples where I've uploaded many sources of information, lots of different websites, lots of different PDFs, because in the free version, as you know, you can upload up to 50 sources. So I have tested that and tried that where I uploaded about 40 or so sources, and then I tried generating the podcast. It did create the podcast, but I found that it was only about 20 minutes long and it was just unable to get through down into much of the detail of the content, and I had way too many sources uploaded. So I think the key learning for me here is I think this works really well if you've got maybe one or two or three sources of information and you want to create an audio file on limited sources. So that's definitely, I think, a key learning for me. And of course, the other learning for me is, as per usual with any AI tool, never rely 100% on any output that it generates. You always need to check it. All right, I'll see you next time.